Okay. All right, this evening I'd like to call the meeting to order. SIP is ready, video recorders on. All right, all of the board members are present. We could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Holly, is there a second? I'll second. Second by Don, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with all members voting yes. Under new business tonight, we're here to discuss the referendum. Thank you all for coming. Our agenda tonight is we are going to start from 5 until 5:30. We are going to be offering tours so that we have groups of 3 different tours. So raise your hand if you are the group leaders for tour number 1. All right, Mr. Williams. Send line. So if you guys want to stand and go over to the door there. If people want to join them, you are welcome. Tour leaders number 2. Ms. Miller, Mr. Mars will be our Mr. Richters. And then a third group. Okay, right here, our leaders. We'll be back here from 5:30 to 6 o'clock. We have the community tables here, so you'll have an opportunity to interact at the Thank you for coming, welcome. I want to remind everyone that if you have any questions, you feel free to fill out the comment cards. Mr. Richter, you can hold those up. We do have comment cards kind of located on the back tables, as well as we do have staff that are here that can help pass them out. I want to thank all of the teachers and our staff for giving the tours. I think those were very informative and people appreciate that opportunity. So next on our agenda is Mr. Stifter is going to be doing a presentation, and then following that presentation we are going to answer the questions that you guys are posing. So thank you again for coming. We're very glad everyone is here today. Mr. Stifter.
Thank you. There are some chairs up here if you want to come up and have a seat. Or you can stand, either way. So I do want to thank you for coming. Most of you here, I guess everybody here knows, again, Stifter, I'm the superintendent. I'm going to run through the presentation real quick so we get some more time to answer questions. Take it as a history, a proud history of in our community, not only of the community aspect in and of itself, but also the schools have been a big part of that. The school's been a cornerstone to the community, giving us a great deal of pride, whether it's in just our accomplishments, our performances. Currently, our schools rank in the area, and our math scores are number 1 in the 10 school district area. We're number 2 in English. We're ranked number 2 in our graduation percentage of students that graduate. That's a sense of community pride and something we should be proud of. You should be proud of. We're looking for April 14th, what we've been working towards is an investment in our district and in our students and our future. And I've been asked this a couple of times, and I'll answer it for everybody right here. How is this plan different? The annual tax impact for the taxpayer is 33% lower. We moved from 2 questions to 3. Our focus, initial focus thing we got to do is get, if we're going to do anything, is have the pre-K 6 building. We need to have that passed. Second question is on our bus garage, our transportation center. It needs update. It needs help. Third question is something that's gone back and forth in the community. We have a lot of members of the community that don't have students or maybe retirees that come in and use our gyms and gym spaces. Hard to get. It's supposed to be pickleball in here tonight. We chased out pickleball to have this. So it is a community investment. We did move the bond terms to help with one of the things we heard is taxes. Taxes are high. By going from 20 years to 25 years, that helped us get to 33% reduction in the actual tax impact. The price of the overall project reduced about 16%. There is less square footage in the elementary than the first plan. The added gymnasium is just a gym station instead of a community center with some of the other things we have. And then we shrunk down the transportation center, the bus garage. We have about 17 buses that run the routes regularly. We would have room for those in the new bus, in the new transportation center. We would maintain the shed, the bus, the current area for our extra buses, or extracurricular buses and those types of things. So those are some of the things that have changed in the plan. Some of the less square footage. We had a dedicated cafeteria in the other plan. We created, this one's going to have more of a commons area, kind of like what you would see at the high school if you've been there. It's pretty common in schools. It can double up as a cafeteria, it can double up as a gathering area if they have events. With 2 gyms, possibly 3, the capacity for tournaments and having community members and other communities come in and use that space is there. So we moved some of the HVAC systems onto the roof to free up square footage. Put them on the roof, and they'll have canopies over them. They'll be covered with protection that way. I did go through the questions here. The question 1 for pre-K 6 is $49.79 million. That's after the $5 million we got from IRRB to help pay for the infrastructure, to help pay for some of our costs to get things out there. With the IRRB funds, we were granted that for the November election. After that resolution, that vote failed. Within a week, I contacted the IRRR, working with our consultants. He said, hey, is there a way to still access the $5 million? Basically, the $5 million was allocated, was budgeted for us for the year, from basically June 1st to June 1st. I said, well, if we come back, pitch to us the potential to run a referendum before June 1. Again, the money was still budgeted for us. We did the application, we met with the IRRB board, which is made up of legislators. Senator Robert Farnsworth out of Hibbing chairs that board. When we presented, he spoke very favorably on our plan. And part of it is the whole community approach and aspect of that. Question 2 with the transportation center, $3.19 million. And then question 3 with the gym is $2.325 million for the gym. Just to know, in order for any of this to happen, question 1 has to pass. If question 1 passes, then question 2 can pass. And in order for question 3 to pass, both question 1 and question 2 have to pass. So it's kind of a scaffold approach on that. Challenges at Rippleside, you may be seeing some of them on your tours. For those who are here for those, in small classrooms, there are safety concerns. We talked about the secure entry and different things. Lack of space for service for students in need. Putting our closets, our slop rooms, mud rooms, if you will, have been turned into meeting places and fixed up, so we have places to meet to address all the needs. Health risks, our aging infrastructure, everything from our HVAC to that's in the ceilings or in the floor to our plumbing, everything's aging, they're 70-year-old part of the building, which again, we saw. And then the school bus located off-site, not big enough to get, or not even wide enough to get all our big buses, our bigger buses in at one time. It's showing its age. What we're looking for, what you can see, is improved classrooms, improved space built and created for today's needs, today's education, dedicated spaces for special education and student support services instead of being in closets or those types of areas that have been remodeled. Enhanced safety and security, again, secure entry, accessibility, the new school will be accessible. There's over here on Monday, we had a student in a wheelchair stuck in the elevator. My understanding is that elevator, that happens to, fortunately, enough people that know just where to kick the door, kick it to make it work. Healthier, I get it, healthier spaces, and then energy savings with just modernizing different things, modernizing their systems. Again, safer, more efficient transportation, our parent drop-off and pick-up. We have the buses and cars mixing, that's always a challenge. And then the community space, added gym space, could be open to community members during the day, on weekends or whatever. But at the same time, then there would be a third gym for when the school does need that added space. Working in conjunction with the community needs. Drafting designs, proposed with elementary school, same location we proposed in the fall. A couple of changes is remove the bus garage down toward the parking lot area. That's the blue. Oh yeah, I got a pointer. Right there. Move that bus garage down. That saved us about $1 million by not having to extend infrastructure and things that way. That also answered the question, a lot of questions about the 6th Street access and will that road be in Landwood. We did meet with Brian Pizarro, the fire department. He felt that having the one access in, it doesn't show all the way out here, up 169, as long as we maintain a minimum maintenance road, so there would be a second access point off of 6th Street, should something happen where that's needed. There's the ballot. Again, that's not going to read through it, but question 1, it says in there that question 1 in order for question 2 to happen, question 1 has to pass and so on. There's a ballot for you. And here's a comparison of, well, clearly you can see that, but showing the 33%, you can see the very top line, $100,000 home. It was $100 in November. If you slide across the April, it's $67. I would pick another number, but it's hard to see. But if you look at those charts, that shows the 33% increase. Again, that was done by reducing the cost and then extending the term to 5 years. Community impact, long-term value. The project would create 160 prevailing wage jobs during roughly a 30-month construction time. Could help us retain and attract businesses and employees. Develop local workforce. Could broaden the city's tax base because if that happens there, this property here we're on could become places for homes. Right now, both this property here and the property that we build on are off the tax rolls. If this is no longer needed, or if we move out there, then all this property around here could eventually be housing. That would increase the tax base, which would spread the amount of taxes out amongst more houses, more properties. Attract families and young professionals, enhance the quality of life, different activities and different things that go on, and then provide land opportunities for future housing development, whether it's on this site. The slide back showed that we have 220 acres on the city annex land that we want to build on. We're figuring we'll need about 80 or 90 of that for school. Idea of hanging on to that for once everything ever gets moved out there. And then the rest could be available to be developed into housing or whatever. Now that's down the road. Taxpayer impact, on a $175,000 home, it's about $13 a month. On a $300,000 home, it's about $25 a month. You can see up here, residential homesteads pay about 35% of that. seasonal property paying 40, the residents are paying about 35% of this referendum. There are different tax credits. Again, this is all our weareacre.org website. We have the egg to school. I'm not sure if I have a slide still in there on that. Or the egg, not egg to school. That's a food program. But egg tax credit. Again, I mentioned the $5 million IRRD funds. Again, just a few weeks back, we got final approval that the $5 million would come our way should this pass. And that's to help. A lot of questions about who's updating and who's paying for the infrastructure of the district. This project pays for the updates to the roads, getting water, sewer, and the other infrastructure out there. The idea behind the IRRB, we asked them to help us pay towards that infrastructure. So that $5 million is coming from the IRRR. It's going to pay roughly 2/3 of infrastructure to get it to the school site. The referendum passes. We're looking for improved safety. It's a better place to learn. Improved safety not only in access to the school, but in the parent and bus drop-off areas. Transportation storage center, more reliable service for our buses and service in general. The gym, the added gym space, even if the third gym doesn't pass, there'd be 2 full gyms on there. This is the big gym at Rippleside. The other Capanasium, or the other one is smaller, and that for much of the day that's set up as a cafeteria. Design would begin in 2026. Construction likely to start next year in April. Would be expected to be completed about in the fall of 2028. If it fails, the challenges at Rippleside will remain. Ongoing maintenance costs of both our school buildings continue to rise over time, smaller scale remodel options require tax increases, but it would be improving what we currently have, or rebuilding what we currently have, not necessarily improving the learning spaces. A major emergency could disrupt student learning, school operations. Without a long-term solution, we'll continue to use more of our budget to react to problems instead of finding ways to prevent them. Voter information, encourage district residents to check this out. You can early vote starting Friday. Go to the courthouse, county auditor's office. You have to request an absentee ballot if you want an absentee vote. Those don't get sent to you automatically. You'll need to request one unless you've already made a permanent request for an absentee ballot. You should get this ballot. If you don't have a permanent request for an absentee ballot, you either have to request one or you go to the county auditor's office, fill out the request for one, and they get it right there. You can vote right at that time. So if you go on Friday, request an absentee ballot, you can go fill out that paperwork, and you can vote once that's done. Or you can wait and do it all on Tuesday, April 4th. All precincts will be voting at the public library.
It's 14, correct?
It's the 14th.
Oh, it should be April 14th, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, we had that typo in the slide. Thank you. All right, areas to learn more, you can submit questions like some of you have. We've been getting some questions, we had a little bit of a hiccup. Not all questions came through last week, they were delayed a week. And, we think we got that resolved. We did answer those questions that came through. You can follow us on Facebook, Aiken Public Schools. We have our weareacre.org website, which is a microsite. You can contact me. My email's up there. My phone number's up there. I'm willing to meet with you or a group, answer questions, whether by phone, in person, or whatever. All right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stitcher. Can I get some help collecting questions? Okay, next we'll move into the question and answer portion. We do have other comment cards. Mr. Richter's has some, so as the questions are coming through, if that sparks another question on your mind, please just raise your hand. Mr. Richter's or any of the other helpers here will be glad to pass those along. So, thank you. Yes, I think we have, yes, up here. Yep, there's something. Okay. Thank you. This is a comment. Thank you for the website. It has been helpful in finding information. As Mr. Stifter said, Egan.org is our website.
Is there money allocated for quality playground equipment for different age levels? Yes, that's all part, that's all figured in as cost to the new facility.
Okay, question. It doesn't seem like the board cares about taxpayers. I can tell you that the board does care greatly about the taxpayers. We have spent a significant amount of time soliciting feedback, holding different sessions, creating different opportunities for people to be able to raise any concerns, offer feedback. We continue to do that. This isn't something that any of us are taking lightly. We also care very much about the tax impact about this. We are listening very carefully. All of us pay taxes. None of us like paying taxes. We recognize that everyone works very, very hard for every dollar that they have coming in, and that dollar needs to stretch more today than ever before. And so we can assure you that we do care about the taxpayers.
Very cool. Question. Sorry, it's like a duck. Question. How did the funds get approved to buy the land for the new site? When was the referendum passed to buy that land? The land was purchased, I'm going to say 12 years ago. It could be off, give or take a year. There wasn't a referendum needed. The school was able to use their general fund dollars to purchase that land. At the time there was a task force, 2016, so 10 years ago. 31 members on the task force worked with the school board. I believe they looked at 18 sites. There's different sites around the community or around the area that were looked at that were checked for better or for worse. Came back, the committee came back with a recommendation, I believe, on 2 sites, and that's where the current property, it was decided at that time to purchase the current property. So.
Comment, our community needs this new school to build, grow, and succeed.
Question, I don't have an answer to this. How many houses at the school district are $100,000 or less? I don't have an answer to that.
Any, you guys? No. On our tax impact chart, we do know that the average home in the city is $150,000. 175,000. And so we did try to list the series of the different amounts. So when you guys look at that, you can try to find the one that matches up with your home.
We also have the calculator where they can put in your exact property in the calculator, correct?
Okay. Question, is it true that the state pays 70% of farmers' taxes on this project? And that is true. That's the egg to school credit.
Minus the revenue.
Yeah, minus the resident and 1 acre.
And 1 acre, yeah.
Thanks for listening to the work, and for the work since November to lower tax impact. We can support the new plan.
Okay, question, was the board vote in November and April referendums unanimous? Yes.
Yes.
Would you all agree?
Yes.
Yeah, wholeheartedly, right? Yeah.
Comment on the tour. Our group asked really good questions. Thanks for offering this and showing us many of the facility challenges.
What is the cost to taxpayers to maintain current facilities in the event the referendum fails? Good question.
Say it again.
What is the cost of the taxpayers to maintain the current facilities in the event the referendum fails?
Well, that kind of goes with the question that I was just reading. It depends what the board decides to do. Okay, we have a $11 million plan over there over 5 years that goes in and starts fixing some of the basic challenges on Rippleside, not addressing the space or anything. That's the building as is, and to start replacing the HVAC or the other infrastructure, the roof, and those types of things. So I think that's and there's chart over here for that on the website. If you go to we call it the matrix. I don't know what it's called. It'll show you different scenarios from we moved an $11 million remodeling for a 5-year levy to doing more of a whole scale remodeling, taking out the remodeling of the whole building, remodeling the 70-year-old part of the building, not addressing the parent pickup or drop-off. We figured that as a 10-year plan, and I'll address that a little bit. The reason for the 10-year plan, that only addresses the 70-year-old part of the building. So if we do that, 10 years from now, the rest of the other part of that loop is going to be 70 years old. So in 10 years, that will be addressing that. So we don't want to stack up. We want to stack them on top of each other. And the one on the far right is a repair only. We're not trying to say we're estimating $11 million over 5 years to start doing repairs. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and I think it's important to note that the board doesn't need our approval in order to levy that $11 million, right?
Correct.
Right.
So they can just
There's limits on that.
choose to raise our taxes by $11 million, or,
Yeah.
right, and I think that's just important for everyone to know.
Yeah, the $11 million would not require a levy. The $34 million to remodel would require,
So you wouldn't need voter
portion of
approval
that.
on that $11 million.
we would not require voter approval on the 11 million.
And there's different levy limits that we can access, and there's a, yeah.
Sorry, just on that 11 million, does that repair estimate include what's going on with the sewer in this building, or is that above and beyond that number?
I would say it'd be above and beyond.
It does not include that. How was,
Sorry, and I'll try to keep going through all the questions at the end.
I'm on that.
Okay, let's see.
How was ICS selected? So ICS serves as our consultant. We have had a long-term relationship with ICS. They are very well known throughout the state. I know that they have done a lot of local area projects, including Mora, Grand Rapids, Nashua. I'm trying to think of many, Duluth area, quite a few that have been several. And so ICS has been kind of our primary consultant, and then we have worked with other consultants such as Ellers, the architect firm, and that sort of thing. So that we have, I'm not sure how far back our relationship goes.
We were selected in an RFP that was put out 5 years ago for facilities assessment services.
Yeah, so we're required to do a request for proposal, and then we ask for different services, and then that's how that is selected.
Yeah, there was about 4 or 5 companies.
And it was selected every year.
Yeah, it was a selection process.
So when you do a request for proposal, then bids come in, there's a certain deadline to open those.
It was proposed.
It was
Or
to do building study of our buildings, facility studies.
Facilities planning, yeah.
What happens if it doesn't pass? Will levy?
I have more questions on mine. How much is the infrastructure part? So
How much does it cost to get the infrastructure up to the new site?
the sewer and water, that was,
And
yeah.
the bridge, the road, and everything.
So site earthwork, paving, utilities, to the new site, $7.2 million. We have, right, by the minute, right?
So the second line item there is $7.2 million. That's all the site work from the road access coming in off of 340th. It also includes all the site and dirt work and road work around. It would be extending and widening the bridge. And then there's a separate line item, City of Aiken, utilities to the new property. I'll walk through a couple slides on it because I got it somewhere in here.
I think that has been a question that a lot of people have asked,
Yeah,
so.
we've heard that question a lot. Yeah, so here would be, let me just explain this, I get your little laser pointer. So one thing the school district did was the school district hired the city, which the city engineer, they're from Bolton and Mink, to do an assessment on the city systems of what it would take to extend water and sewer to the property. So bringing water and sewer up by Paul's down and over on the blue line and down the yellow line, they put their estimates together. So that's where that $3.2 million number came from. Again, the school district paid the city $1,500 for that information. We further vetted that with our civil engineer on our team, just to make sure we feel really good about the numbers, because they gotta be right. Secondly, there were some questions before in the November election that said, I don't think the district included the cost of utilities. I don't think the district's looked at whether or not the building might settle and the site infrastructure as well. So the top part is a memo that was sent by the city engineer to the city council and also to the district that verified that, no, they did do their homework in the estimates that were provided, and that the district does have those costs included. The second is a memo by Dan Miller from GLD Architects. They did look at the soils, the topography, the slope of the site and so forth, and it is very buildable property. So those are two pieces of information. I think this is a further one. It gets along the lines of access off of 169. We've had several discussions with MnDOT, right? MnDOT is ready to go, pending a referendum success, to meet with the team to work on making sure everything is safe for both MnDOT and then the school district. That you know about? So that's up to them. The school district doesn't get to decide Highway 169.
About when we got that many buses coming in and out in one location, right?
We'll be working with MnDOT. They kind of laughed at us because they said there's so many schools built off of 169 from one end of the state to the other. They were like, oh my gosh, and they started rattling off a bunch of schools.
I care about our kids.
That's right. They do too, right? So they're ready to meet and go through that, right? Figure out what that will be. The second is the road access coming out 340th. It borders the Aiken Township, it borders Farm Island Township, and also the city of Aiken, right? So there's three folks. Now that road, the expansion of that road, widening of it, asphalting it, making sure it's safe, including the bridge would be another culvert. I know an individual from our civil team met with people about that. That's all included in the referendum cost. In addition, the driveway coming in and all of the infrastructure within the city property is included as well.
The state, are they gonna pick up their part of the turn lane or whatever you say put in? Or is that us?
They said they don't put their budgets out until something's approved. So we need to get something approved, and then they'll work with us and they'll address that typically in their budgets, is what they said. So they said they'd be going up there, see and work with them. Again, we won't need it we got 2 years before we need the access to be ready. So there's time for planning and to address it. So,
And then the last question on this card is the school at a negative budget this year? The school is not operating in a negative budget. We are, I think, about $100,000 profit, or about where it is. Oh, we just lost our business manager. But I just looked at that for that ad for the superintendent search, and we were in the positive.
Assuming the vote fails, doing nothing a viable option. I'd say no, we're gonna start fixing things on the elementary school, more than just basic repair. That'll be up to the board, and they'll come at a later time. So I got one here while you're looking at them. What happens if the school gets condemned? I don't know if schools can get condemned.
Can.
I guess it depends what that means, if they're just locking the doors and keeping us out. I don't have a good answer for what happens if we get condemned. We probably can't be in here.
Will the taxation term for a remodel be the same as building new? I'll take a stab at it and then I'll talk with Matthew. Typically not. So when you're looking at the taxation term or the length of the loan, if you will, you're going to need to take a look at what's the time period. You don't ever, like for instance, if you're borrowing money for a new car, you're not going to do a 30-year loan on that, right? So that time frame needs to match up with the time frame that you're expected to have that. So maybe you can do a more eloquent answer than that.
That was good. I mean, we're looking at extended useful life when we're building new infrastructure. So longer term, and spreading that over a number of years makes a lot of sense. And from a tax management strategy for a school district, that means new property owners are going to come and go over that period of time as that asset's being used. We're looking at maintenance and equipment that is getting put into the site, that's not gonna have the same length of useful life, and that means shorter terms from a financing perspective, because we don't wanna be paying interest towards things that are at the end of their useful life.
Will the new site have a safer pickup and drop off? Or will there be a safer pickup and drop off in the new location? Yeah, we had the map, there'll be a drop off for parents on one side of the building, for buses on the other side. So we're not having the buses dropping off and cars lining up behind, or buses picking up and the cars lining up behind. If you're driven through town, almost any day, but especially on Friday, it seems like more parents are picking up kids. The traffic will back up out onto 169. One time this last fall, I was at Erickson, or at Holiday, Erickson, really did, it was Holiday. And, well, there's some older people here, they recognize the reference. I had to wait to pull out of the Holiday parking lot because the cars were lined up along there to go in to pick up at Rippleside. So, yes, we believe that there will be a safer pick up and drop off.
Could you show us the leaky roof? Yes, I believe that Mrs. Baller's classroom is down that hallway. Mr. Schneider is
I can bring them down there if they
willing
want to
to
see
do
it.
that. It was on the tour. You can see that there's, I believe it's called a bladder.
It's a collection bag, basically. The roof is in such rough shape right now, and I can't do anything about it this winter. We put up collection things, and basically, I got funnels, or hose connected to hoses, and these things all throughout the classroom go into a barrel so that I can remove it. So it's not compromising our tiles any more than they already have that.
So the slide that's up there now shows the age. We had two different groups look at our roofs, two different companies. And this is basically a combination of the impact or of the data they shared with us and what they're seeing. You can see the 1988 roofs, they're telling us, so it's done 2 years ago, we're going to patch and repair as much as we could. Should be fully replaced immediately. You can read their way down. And with the room that we're mentioning, we patch that. I don't think we just leave it, but we patch it and then we get a rain and a frost or whatever. It's just a bad spot where patches only hold so long. So instead of taking that bladder down and then putting it up 2 weeks later.
Basically, the design, you got 3 roofs that are pitched incorrectly, and they're running here, and they're collecting on one. So the roof that was designed to take its square footage is now accepting multiple square footages from roofs that shouldn't be drained into it. And I've been working on this roof probably for 3 years plus. I think we got about 20 grand into it right now. We're chasing a needle in a haystack because it's a ballasted roof, which is rocks. We gotta move rocks to try to find holes.
Right.
I'm going to ask these 3 cards, all kind of have the same question and it's on the roof, so if I can jump in. Do we not have money for to repair the current leaks in the roof? Do you have a maintenance plan for a new school to avoid the issues Brainerd schools are having? And you can't maintain this building, how are you going to maintain a new building? So I'd like to just take a minute to kind of talk about sort of maintenance and how the maintenance funding works. So school finance is a very complicated issue. We talk about it in terms of when money's coming in, it's allocated for certain buckets, which maybe is sort of a bad metaphor for in this building, right? With leaky roofs. But if you will, money has to be designated according to certain things. And over the course of many, many years in the state of Minnesota, there was not money allocated by the legislature specifically to repair things such as roofs. Over the last couple of years, the legislature has changed that because there's many, many, many governmental buildings across the state of Minnesota that are literally falling apart. And so as a result of that, we were able to pass, or able to get long-term facility maintenance to now start putting money into doing the maintenance plans. Only our buildings and our facilities are so old that there's just not enough money. So I'll use another example. We might have enough money to do an oil change on the car. We don't have enough money to change out the transmission, right? And so it's not that we haven't been doing the maintenance. We've been doing the best we could with the money that we had at the time. So we know that these roofs are horribly expensive. we have evaluated every single budget year with, boards going back many decades in trying to establish how long do we think it will last? How much money do we have to put towards it? What's the best way we can do it? Always knowing that at some point, we just have to be done with it. And that's the point where we are today.
I'd like to address, the maintenance of the buildings. Our school facilities are the oldest in the area, average age of 50 years. The part we want to replace, or the oldest part of Rippleside is 70 years. You don't get a school that's 70 years old without doing maintenance along the way. I think we've done maintenance along the way. We've gotten to a point to where the cost of maintenance just keeps going up and up. The things that need to be replaced or repaired, it's become systems now that are aging out or have aged out that we're continuing to work. So, why didn't you maintain our buildings? I think we have. We have a 70-year-old part of our building. Much of our elementary building is 60 years or older. We have been doing maintenance. We have been doing what we can. But back to Cindy's point, there's just so much that needs to be done yet.
I think I had 4, it's your turn.
Okay. Have you written a proposal that includes just the needs and some wants? The price tag is too overwhelming for a small town. If we go back, Jeff, to the matrix, I would say probably the remodel part would be the closest that we've done. That would replace the 70-year-old part, do a little bit of the secure entry, modernized secure entry, and that was adding the gym as well. Right? Yeah. So remodel only is probably the closest plan we looked at. That was $34 million price tag.
But it's also on a shorter frame, so the tax impact is actually higher.
Yeah.
I want you to pay attention to that. It's a $323 tax impact per year on a $300,000 home, which is, so it's.
We can't really go for both. Can we bring the poster up maybe? We need to go out for both for
So
that.
the idea of the IMAD is that in 10 years, the 60-year-old parts of the building.
And that 34 million does not include fixing the sewer issues that we have.
How long will the repair station could you do it with children?
We would not be able to do it with the children in the building. I am not sure how
I don't know
long
what the
it
plan
would
would
take.
be. Where we might be able to do.
That's a great question. So, as we looked at it with the board, it'd likely be a 3-year construction side because you first need to add some space before you demo space down, right? And then you need to be able to build space later, right? And you got to figure out how you're going to do that because the building's occupied, the students, and it's really difficult. We've done a number of remodeling projects where it's very doable, but not easy, right? And there may be temporary classrooms brought in, or like trailers that get put out on the site. Kids would have to go to the trailers or something for safety reasons. It's not ideal, but it could be done.
Would that cost us extra money as well?
It would cost extra money. Some of that's figured in your 34 million, some of it's not, right? The 3-year window of construction was figured in the 34. Where you put kids, not all figured out, right? Great question.
What would a secure entry look like compared to what Rippleside has? So right now, Rippleside has, I'm sure you all came through that front door, right? And so what we consider our entry is that during school hours, that second door coming in is locked. You need to buzz. The administrative staff that are sitting at that window need to kind of peer out, look to see who's out there, make a determination if they should release that lock on that door to have someone come in. They then need to check into the office. So what a secure entry would look like, we'll have our architect.
So ideally, from a safety security standpoint with a secure entry, that really starts at the property line, really when people are coming onto the property. You want a clear line of sight from the administrative area all the way out through the property to the parking lot so you can see people approaching the building, especially with an elementary facility, because elementary facilities, usually threats are coming from the outside working their way in. Sometimes in middle schools and high schools, sometimes it's the students there that cause some of the concerns and the issues. But once they get to the front door, and the administrative people can keep an eye on them and they can make a determination as people are approaching, is this a safe situation or not? They can make a determination. You know, you also have buzzers to lock down the building at that point if they want to. But the vestibule itself, it kind of acts like a mousetrap. People can come in those front doors, they're in the building, they're in the warmth, and now they get directed, they can't just get directly into the building, and there's not a buzzer, to allow them straight into the building. They actually have to come into the administrative office, they get redirected through, they have to check in, get their ID checked, and then once there's an actual conversation with that person, then they can get access to get directed around the building. So it's really in how you control two things, the circulation and then also the visibility. And those are two items here that just with the layout of the existing school, they're compromised, and it's tough to do that. Without a full remodeling, you wouldn't be able to get that here, so.
This is a referendum, but the high school isn't much better than Rippleside or the plans, 10 years for that building. We mentioned 10 years ago when the previous referendum failed, the board and the superintendent at that time decided we need to do something with the high school. So parts of third floor science labs with third and second floor were remodeled. The media center area some classrooms were added, and some remodeling was done there. And a special education part of the building was created, remodeled, and some classrooms were moved around. More recently, probably 6 or 7 years ago, we finished up that project with remodeling the secure entry coming in off the parking lot. Part of that was done through a grant the district at that time received, the school safety grant. So we've done work. At that time, we decided to do work to the high school because it needed it, and the referendum got voted down. In the meantime, we feel like the high school's in a spot where it can hold its own now, but now because we've had the focus on the high school, Rippleside is now at the need, basically where the high school was 10 years ago, or 15 years ago. If we build a new school, the idea is that, some of the maintenance, we won't have to worry about fixing a roof on a new school right away. Some of our maintenance dollars maybe can be shifted to help do more with the high school to address some of the needs that we're seeing there.
Can you follow up on that? So are you looking at the high school, like, okay, repaired it, it's good for another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or in 5 years, are we going to ask for a high school?
Part of the reason we went in November, we went 20 years is because we figured 20 years, roughly 20 years. We did extend it on the referendum this time to bring the tax cost down, but I would think if this passes, we're going to be doing updates, upkeep to the high school. I'm guessing here, but I'm saying 15 to 20 years, we'll be talking about what are we going to do with the high school, maybe 20 years. It's hard for me to project that, but the idea is that the high school's in a better spot right now because of some of the work done there. There's still spots, there's still old infrastructure there that are going to need to be addressed as well, but again, with the new elementary not able to spend as much maintenance there, we'd have more funding to help cover the high school expenses.
Okay, this card has 7 questions, so I'm going to work quickly. What is the funding plan for the new buildings? I think we've talked about that, right? With going forward with the referendum here. Are you showing the slide or? Okay, the tax impact there. We do have the boards back here too at this station. Who will pay for 340th place when it needs maintenance for the townships? So as he mentioned earlier, the initial money for doing whatever we need to do is included in the referendum costs. As far as ongoing maintenance in the future, because there's 3 different entities involved there, right? Actually 4. So the school district, the city of Aiken, Aiken Township, and Farm Island Township. Typically what happens is when there's multiple government entities that are all involved, they're all going to be sitting down and kind of talking about who's going to pay for what's that going to look like, those sorts of things. So we certainly have had conversations with all of those entities. We would certainly be at the table talking about those conversations with entities going forward with respect to if things needed to be improved or whatever going forward. The school district is certainly not, we don't have line items in our budget to address like road, maintenance issues, obviously, but it's a part of the puzzle, and we would certainly be sitting down with those governmental entities at that time to work through that. How will you keep traffic from using 6th Avenue Southeast? Again, we will not have a main entrance coming in through there. We have, that was a significant change from the prior referendum. I do not believe that the city has any intentions of, or is that a township road?
Yeah, it's a farm.
So there's not, I do not believe that there's any intentions to vacate that road. Certainly, the emergency services, I believe, have requested to be allowed to still use that if there was an emergency at the school to be able to use that. But we would not have any buses going through there. We would not be having that on our plan for like normal pickup and drop off. We certainly can't stop traffic from using it, but we would not be encouraging that, using it, anything like that. What will happen when the school choice passes and enrollment drops further? I can tell you with respect to enrollment, when I was first on the board about 10 years ago, we did some studies based on enrollment. We are exactly where we anticipated we would be and predicted from 10 years ago. We have approximately 90 or so students that are homeschooling and a little bit more than that who are open enrolling into our district.
We're about 98 or 99, I think.
Yeah. The next question is, why is homeschooling on the rise? Be honest. Homeschooling, I think, is on the rise in a lot of different districts. You know, we would love to have all of the students in our district coming into our schools. Different families have different reasons for why they're electing to homeschool. Homeschooling is not anything new. I certainly have people that I know of who do homeschooling. It's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's just a family choice, and I think it's important for families to be able to have that choice to do
Why
that.
has it gone from 37 students in 2019 to 101 according to the superintendent's report at the end of last year?
Nobody knows.
I can speak to that a little bit.
I'm asking.
Yeah,
I do know that there's, Jennifer,
I can answer it. I got it. It's increased for a variety of reasons. There's religious beliefs. It's increased because when COVID was happening, everybody was doing a version of homeschool. Some families realized that I can do this. We can homeschool and it does work. There's different, every family has different ideologies as to why they're doing it, or why they're deciding to homeschool. I don't always get the answers, but
I'm aware of at least one family who has elected to homeschool because of safety issues in this building.
Are you allowed to ask why families are homeschooling?
I think we can certainly ask that. Whether a family chooses to share that, I don't know. Similar reasons why people elect to, bring their kids from other districts into here, right?
Or open enroll elsewhere?
Open enroll. So is it important for us to continue to explore that and ask that? It absolutely is. We want as many kids in our buildings as possible. We want to provide a safe, good, positive learning environment. That's why we're here today, right? Because we care about the kids in our community.
Is it possible it's because we politicize their classroom?
I don't believe that that's the case, but I do understand that there are some concerns from parents who feel that way. That's
a big chunk.
And what is the truth though, Jason? That's not happening.
Okay, my next question is, where is Principal Dockin? I don't believe that Principal Dockin is here with us tonight, but I do see Principal DeMars, Lisa is here with us tonight, so if there's any questions directed for the principal, raise your hand. You are here, she can handle any questions related to that. Why was your building insurance non-renewed a couple of years ago? I know that I'm not sure why it wasn't non-renewed. There might be somebody who can answer that. I do know that we had significant amount of insurance claims at the high school because we have had a lot of water damage, a lot of leaky roofs. We've had a fire in that building, and so a lot of renovations have taken place at the high school over the last probably 8 years, and so perhaps it's.
I think there was fewer carriers that offered. And
it was because of lack of a maintenance plan.
Well, we also saved
$50,000
because I
Roland, give you the.
Roland, you have the floor.
Let me speak here. There's fewer carriers insuring different, so carriers take a look at their risk pool and what they're doing. And carriers will switch where they're gonna put their risk and insure. And there's fewer carriers that are doing schools now than there was 5 years ago. And you see that with your insurance personally, I see it with my business insurance, I see it with my home and risk that I use. So that's, insurance is different.
And I do know when we had to change, when we got canceled by our insurance company, districts around us, so I started conversations with superintendents saying, hey, our insurance has been canceled due to some of the things Paula mentioned and other. So we were sending it, who were you working with, who were you getting? Our insurance was canceled, we had a lot of claims. I think that's part of the change in the insurance industry. That's what I feel. But I know it was many schools around the state, and not just these public entities around the state were struggling to get their insurance.
Okay, comment. The Kids Club entrance is also very busy and is not secure. Next question, has Aiken Township been contacted and also Farm Island Township? Yes, I think I addressed that a few minutes ago. Go ahead.
Where's the information found on, see how the money was spent from the previous referendum? I'm assuming the capital projects levy. Capital projects levy, there was a transportation, technology, and some maintenance on the last one that was, on the second one that we passed. About 70% of the funds from this capital project levy goes to technology, about 20% to transportation, and then 10% going to maintenance.
Why has the city of Aiken not started utilities, sewer, water, power? I guess I don't know. I don't know that we have anybody here tonight from the city council.
Got a question about that. You said you were contacting Aiken Township?
I believe
Nobody's
that,
been to any of the township meetings.
I know civil engineer talked to them about 2 years ago in the early plan.
I think that we believe that the civil engineers had some contact about 2 years ago.
Excuse me, I'm Terry Bentley. Nobody else wants to get their name. I'm also on the Aiken Township Board. Not once have you contacted the board entirely. And I won't speak for Farm Island Township. Yes, you had an engineering representative meet with our road supervisor to look at the bridge out there, or the Hancock, or the culvert that you would need to call. But nobody has, don't smirk at me, nobody has approached Aiken Township, or the best of my knowledge, Farm Island Township, as to your plans for that township road. And I'll further go on to say, yes, you're talking about picking up the expense for building that road. Nobody showed us anything that's going to go on there. I've got residents out there questioning what's going to go on. Are you need additional right-of-way? And the cost of the road. But getting back to the maintenance, does that mean responsibility for maintenance will then eventually be pushed on to Aiken Township? We have a maintenance agreement with the city of Aiken, with Farm Island Township, and then Aiken Township, and we bill that out and disperse that cost. But the point I'm making is nobody has formally sat down and approached the town board and share with us anything that's going on with the 340th lane, or whatever we call it.
I apologize for that, Mr. Billy. My understanding
Well,
was
there's no
that,
apology needed, but I want to make that clear.
well, I appreciate that information. My understanding was that there had been more, and so I apologize for that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay, what mechanism will the city of Aiken use to gain payment from the school district for this project? I don't know how payment transfers from governmental entities. What mechanism will the city of Aiken use to gain payment from the school district for this project? So maybe like, it's just
The
billed,
county collects taxes for all the entities. Right? So
and then, so if there's a project that's done, it's billed to the school district would pay the
it
funds?
comes through your debt service levy.
Okay. You want to read it?
What are the plans for the old school? The demo costs are included. Asbestos demo and sold as is, lots who gets money. Well, sold as lots, who gets the money and where does the money go to? Just one question. There's a couple of options with the current school facility, the current property. One is it could be up for sale. Another option would be, as far as demoing the buildings, there's going to be some interest earned in our, in the bond referendum should it pass. And some of that money could be earmarked to demolish, remove the building and get this site ready for repurposing, rebuilding. We would again want to work with the city and the county, growth innovations to see what works best, private entities, see what could be done. The school is not in the house building business or industry, but we will, through this pass, we will have land that could be opened up for those that are in the house building, community building, industry build process. I think I hit all.
I know we're running over.
Okay, no, if the school passes Woodfield, we'll still need all the high school facilities, because right now, this question is just to get the school, the bus garage, and add a gym. We wouldn't have any of the other fields or anything out there, so Woodfield would still be in play, so to speak. The current football field, those things. Maybe over time, but those could change. That would have to be decided at that time. I know there's been a lot of work put into the roost. I think that's a huge community asset, but yeah.
I know we're over time. I'd like to get through as many of these questions as we can, so I'm going to push through. What happens if this doesn't pass? What will the levy cost? I think we've addressed that. How many people in the courthouse are being paid for voting? I'm not aware of anybody being paid for voting. I think that's illegal.
Is the IRRR money available? If it was available last time, you said it was gone forever. We believe that. We went back and hit the IRRR hard, saying, hey, the money hasn't been reallocated. It's still there. What do we got to do to get access to it? I shared that a little bit earlier. So
I really don't think we get that again, just from the political players that, the communications that we're making, just so you know.
Why wait till the snowbirds? Why not wait until the snowbirds return? With the limited voting options, many won't be able to attend. Ballots should be sent to all residences. I believe that the ballots being mailed, that's not up to us, correct? That's part of the voting rules. Again, I think there was that slide there that you can request the ballots. There's a process for doing that. Early voting starts this week. And then my last card is so many issues right now, school board turnover. I'm not aware of that. Dan is retiring. We are doing a search right now for the new superintendent. How can you manage this? We have put a lot of time and energy into this, again, with the community help. We will continue to move forward. We have lots of consultants and experts in place, lots of, partners that are moving, and we have a very strong commitment to continue to move forward.
We're not construction managers up here, just so everybody understands that. We have owner's representation that'll be with us on the construction project. We're not sitting in 6 a.m. construction daily meetings. Owner's representation will speak with whoever's superintendent. Decisions will be made on change orders, all that sort of thing, which is normal flow of construction. So I want to make sure, because I've heard that we don't know what we're doing as construction. Probably could be pretty accurate, because we're not construction people. That's why we got our groups over here as consultants taking care of that. I want to be clear on that. I know a little bit about the process of development on a large project like this.
Quickly.
Yes, Coach, I just got a couple, just a quick question. Have you addressed in there if somebody would petition for an EAW before you start construction on this? And the second thing is, it sounds like a dumb question, but you've got a cost there for a referendum of X number of $1 million. Are you accounting for it, bringing into that budget the cost overruns that will be incurred once this referendum, if it passes? How do you, are you allowing for that?
We do have contingencies included in the budget. We do have contingencies included in the budget. We do have things like wetland delineation and environmental reviews included in there. The project does not trigger EAW because it is in the city limits and EAW is there. There's all kinds of EAW's environmental assessment worksheet.
Right.
But we will absolutely be committed to making sure we have a proper stormwater, runoff drainage, and all those types of things.
Yeah, definitely. How do you address the cost, anticipated cost? Do you have that built into the budget?
Good question. Yes.
Okay, do you have it built into the budget?
Yes.
He said
I
that.
think you said
Is it built in the budget?
Yes, yes, it's in the budget. Yeah.
Okay, good enough.
Okay, your designs, are you designing for the high school to be there in the stormwater designs, all this stuff that you can save a lot of money on by making them built to the final spec?
Yes, it's a great question. It must be a construction guy. Visit with us after. But you're, yes, we're looking at, this is up on top of a hill, so it makes it easier for stormwater management for the whole property. See, we are looking at where it could be connected, and we're trying to design it with the architects that it's an easy attachment down the road. You're probably talking 20 years down the road, but trying to think of that forward. We also, as we met with the city, we made sure that the utility lines for water and sewer coming to the property are sized large enough for the future of a high school as well, right? And so doing everything we can to be thinking ahead for what might be in the future.
Right, so the reference there is that you're putting the sewer and water on the outside of the property, when in reality, if this was solely the project, it could privately be run directly to the first interceptor. So the city is getting quite a deal out of this, having you guys design it for the future.
I would agree. I mean, it's getting a significant water and sewer extension for the city that hopefully can add other homes along the way. In addition, I mean, they looked at it that there could be a big benefit connecting in the future over the 6th Avenue and having more a circular water and sewer connection, but we're getting way into the weeds. But yeah, there's been a lot of thought put into it.
I know we're over, we just have 4 more questions, so we're just gonna plow through.
Have you considered contracting bus services out? Looked into it a little bit, looked into it more a few years back. Either way, there's a cost. When we looked into it in the past, actually contracting out with 2 things, it cost us a little bit more and we have less say in what went on. McGregor just contracted out right after they built the new bus garage. One of the deals, they got a reduced rate, like if you will, with the company they went with because they leased back their new bus garage to them for $1 a month or $1 a year. So that was part of their contribution to the lease. So if we don't have a new bus garage and we lease buses, or we don't have good adequate storage at the company we want to use, they anticipate the cost would be more. When we looked at it 6 years ago, there was some concern. The company looked at it. There'd have to be some work done on the bus garage at that time for it to be usable for them. But I haven't looked into it more seriously than that. Can you build toward the softball field and tear down to create a safe and secure entry? That'd be back behind the school, kind of where the rooster you guys talked about. Yeah, I mean, looking at distance there, would you go and come all the way around the school? Would you go in and try to come back out? Going to the north of this current facility, not a lot of room between the current baseball field and the parking lot here. We had talked about that. I don't believe we thought it was a good option. How our bus is going to cross over Highway 169, we talked a little bit about that. If this passes, once this passes, I was going to get to that one. We'll meet with MnDOT to determine that. One of the options, I don't know.
Do you wanna go into this quick?
A couple of the options we have to address bus pickup and drop is moving to the north, moving towards.
This would be at the current location.
It'd be at this location. You can see, you can see in the 3 different designs. We have road coming in the outfield, kind of between the ball field and the walking track there. That takes wood field. On the first option, we would be able to keep big enough for a softball field, but if you put a turnaround bus parking, what would be left field, we lose part of left field. You come over and give us more parking space, a bigger area, takes even more of the field, we lose access to even have a softball field. And then to probably do it, the safest route is taking all that ball field to do that. One more question. Are old school kids still using the school facilities? Yes. homeschooled students are allowed to participate in our co-curricular extra activities, that's part of the state law. So we do have homeschool kids that are part of our, they're our students, right? They're our community kids, so they do participate if they choose in our activities, both before or after school.
Okay, Jen?
Jeff, could you go to the option comparison for Aiken chart? This one, put this one up there. And would you please explain that last column on the financial differences for our taxpayers of building a new school versus a recurring $11 million levy imposed by the board, and what that looks like long-term to meet our goals?
You wanted to discuss that?
So I mean, really, as we look at this option on the left, that's looking at building a new facility that is going to have a really extended useful life, and the maintenance in that building is going to be much lower over this period of time. When we go on the far right, that's simply a repair with using authority that district has for roofs, indoor air quality, different things that they have the ability to just basically improve in the infrastructure. Doesn't touch anything with improving spaces, but it's simply just trying to maintain the space. And with what we're looking at for those facilities over time, it really doesn't make sense for us because we know we're going to have to be back doing these things year over year over year. That we've established a shorter repayment term for that type of work. The estimated, I'm really having a hard time seeing it, is about $210 a year for what that would equate to on the property owner, but it also incorporates increased operating costs over a period of time too, right? That is, if you were looking at entering into a new site, you're going to have updated facilities, and Jeff can speak to this, that are going to not cost as much to operate.
You're doing oil changes when you need a new transmission.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really what is being looked at, right? That's simply just maintaining a 50-year-old building, right, or 70-year-old building. In this case, that's
And you don't have to get voter approval for that?
No.
No.
Would that be all taxpayers, like even the seasonal people too, if it went to a levy or whatever that is?
Yes. Taxes are the same regardless of which
They
one.
are.
So when you talk about the taxes, you talk about $25 a month on a $300,000 home.
That's an increase on what you're
That's an
already
increase.
paying.
Right,
Yes.
so I don't know how many people besides me can't get it through their head that I have to add what I paid last year too.
Yes, that is correct.
So there's going to be many people paying from $50 to $150 a month or more. Is that not true?
It is correct that this is an increase, so it's not eliminating any
But
of
what
your
I said is not
previous.
so far out from the truth.
I won't.
Depends on what your average value or what
Hey,
value is.
my school taxes were a little over $800. That's what I paid for the school district.
What's the value of your home?
What?
What's the value of your home?
Well, they say 600.
600,000.
So now I'm gonna pay another 700. So it's closer to $150 a month. That's what it's gonna cost many of the people in this meeting.
We can't do that on this board. We're giving you your increase. We can't go to each property and be like, this is what you pay now and this is what you pay next. That's what the tax calculator is for.
It is true that this is an increase. This does not eliminate any of the current taxes that you currently pay and then start at zero for this. So it is true, Darwin. It is true.
When you said your oil change and you need a transmission. Well, everybody can probably afford the oil change on there for $25. So we can't afford the rest.
Point taken. Thank you. Okay, the last comment. I'm surprised that we didn't get a question about the enrollment as far as the classroom sizes. I know that that's been kind of one that's been on Facebook. I'm going to just pose that question here. Currently, right now, we have 4 sections per grade level. The new school, we are really designing it for a 3-section classroom. So just because
We have 3 sections. We have
3 sections here.
High school has,
Okay.
high schools were 9 and 10 have 4 section
Okay.
classes. 8, 9, and 10 have 4 section classes.
And so we're not new does not mean bigger or more. It means we're right-sizing it according to the enrollment that we are anticipating, okay?
Our enrollment in the elementary is stable, and we're actually up, it's either 9 or 11 students. We're roughly 10 students from last year at this time. Our classes coming through the elementary grade level are approximately the same. What we're seeing is the bump, the higher levels, the higher numbers in the per grade are now in the high school. So our elementary is pretty much leveled off, which is what our projections were, is that we get to a certain point, we're going to level off at that 60 to 70 kids to a grade.
I know that sometimes people think, well, if your enrollment's not going up, why would you want a school? We still need to provide an education for our students, right? And so we are looking at those enrollment numbers and we are right-sizing it according to those enrollment numbers. Okay, the last, I believe, are 2 comments. The lack of maintenance is the result of decisions made by the previous school board that has left us in this predicament. And 2, say what you want about the state curriculum, but from my time volunteering in the school, the learning here is not being politicized. Any other questions? In the back.
Yeah, so should this pass, this 3 years to build this new school, as we tour this, there's some foreseeable maintenance that needs to be done to keep this open. What's your plans on that?
Should it pass, is that what we said?
Yeah, should this pass, and you get the okay to build a new school, it's 3 years in the future. There's some foreseeable maintenance that needs to be done to keep our kids here.
Yep, I agree. So what, if this passes, that kind of gives us a timeline we're working with. So now we've only got 3 years, we gotta work with 3 years of fixing and repairing, as opposed to, we're staying here forever, we gotta take a bigger look and do more than.
So we're gonna need more money though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We do have, yeah, and we do basically continue as we are with our maintenance funds and with our long-term.
But some of our huge costs here, and it's 3 years, you can't pass some of this for 3 years.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to bond again to maintain this while we're waiting for the.
I believe what we're doing is we're trying to continue to fix and repair what we can for the 3 years. Our goal would be, if it passes, to spend as little money as we can here, because what happens if we spend a major chunk of money on the Rippleside and then we move in 3 years, people are gonna be saying, what in the world, we spent $7 million. So we're gonna try to do what we can, as we have been doing to keep the doors open, if you will. If it doesn't pass, the board will have a decision to make on, well, what's our next step? Are we gonna jump into one of the plans up there? Right now, our goal, what we're coming to the community with, is the new bill. In November, it failed, using the feedback we had. We've addressed part of it, much more with the cost. We understand that we've extended it 5 years, but we did reduce the monthly tax impact to every taxpayer by 33%. The overall cost was reduced by $16 million, or not 16, but well, close, but 16%. So we heard that. We also heard from people who said, you know what, we still believe you need a new school. Come back with a plan, come back, and let's see what we can do again. So that's why we're here. We wouldn't be here if we didn't think we needed question 1 up there, but that's really going to come back to the community to decide here, starting Friday with early voting. And election day is April 14th, not like we have now. Although going on April 4th, you could early vote.
I asked the question last time, what was Plan B, and they said, we don't have a Plan B, we're just going to come back again. Is there a Plan B?
Plan B, I would tell you, would be the school board deciding if we want to look at one of those other 3 options up there. And another thing we're asking, we don't know what that costs. We're trying to give you our best estimates on what it costs based on how long we think it will last, or what somebody had mentioned, if you do it, Matthew mentioned in the referral, you really only figure it for 10 years because it's going to be a repeating expense.
I do not think that the Plan B, if this referendum fails, I personally do not believe that the result is no tax increase. We cannot sit idle with nothing.
It'll be extremely boring. Every time when something doesn't pass, when the levy goes, your monthly impact is higher, not by choice, by dictation of what is there. It happened to me. I looked right at it when the last couple of referendums went down. I could have paid an extra $40 a month, but instead I paid $53 a month for nothing. We're back to the pissing point right here. It's just not fair to the bigger picture as somebody who wants to bring in business. Not so much business, I want to bring in livelihoods to help support our older groups. There's so many, the hospitals, the retirement communities, both here and Crosby, are struggling to bring people in. Exactly. With that said, we don't have anything to support any base.
Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. We are going to still allow about 15 minutes or so for if people would like to take tours. I know that it's a busy evening. Many of you were able to take tours of the building before the meeting, but if anyone would like to stay late, raise your hand, the tour guides. We've got some tour guides here, so they'll meet you kind of at that back corner there with Mr. Schneider. He's willing to do a tour. Otherwise, with that,
Yep, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you coming, I appreciate your time.
information tables are open I don't think you know. Recess until 7:30. What's your son doing? Yeah. See Eric just say the card. Okay. I make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor to adjourn the meeting, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries with all members voting yes. Brian, voting yes. Brian, adjourning the meeting, vote yes? Yes.